Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of One Too Many with your host, Kyle Glenn. That's me. Gosh, what an exciting time to be doing this podcast. If you haven't watched my intro video already, you're going to just get a glimpse of what this podcast is all about today. I have my great friend, Jesus Gonzalez, on the show, a man who I have gotten to know pretty well over the past year. He is a concierge here in New York City. If you are a visitor, a tourist, or even somebody living here, he is able to provide a fun, fulfilled night for you, taking you out to certain clubs, restaurants, or any other event or space that you would like to go to throughout your time in New York City. This man is born and raised in the Dyckman neighborhood, technically Washington Heights, but Dyckman claims it their own. Very well-cultured man. He travels the world. He knows good food. He knows good nightlife. And to get to know a little bit about the concierge life was fun today. I didn't really know much about it. He's actually the first concierge that I've met in New York City over my 6 years living here and working in nightlife. A super genuine dude, very cool, very knowledgeable. In this episode, like I said, we get to know a lot about his work as a concierge. We get to know about his life growing up and what that transition was like coming from uptown and immersing himself into the downtown nightlife culture. Very, very different from uptown New York, if you know anything about New York. We go over that in this episode so you can get a little knowledge on that. And we also talk about some insider things that you might not ever even known have happened, or if you did know what happened, you get a little more insight into a couple things like the Met Gala after party at the Standard Hotel in 2021 and a couple other nightlife stories that we have for you. So tune in. Thank you for coming. Thank you for showing your support. This is a totally fun episode, and it's only a glimpse of what is going to be happening more in the future where we take this puppy. So please stay tuned and enjoy the episode. I welcome you to Jesus Gonzalez.
But anyways, we got
Cheers.
Motherfucking Jesus Gonzalez. Speaking of drinking, man, I'm so glad that I've met you through this kind of work. I'm glad that we've been able to get to know each other a bit more, and we're going to do that even more today.
Yep.
You know, I met Jesus. Hold on a second. Let's get this straight. Do you prefer to be called Jesus? Is that actually the pronunciation of your name?
If I had a nickel, yeah.
If you had a nickel.
The short version of the story, my father was Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
My mother had no intention of naming me Jesus throughout her pregnancy, and like to the day I was born, didn't know what she was going to name me. Something told her to name me Jesus. She says that God spoke to her. But she was added, and my mother's very big on being Americanized. I'm a first-generation American, but she's, like, came here for a reason. So, like, decided, all right, I'll name you Jesus, but it has to be pronounced Jesus. Like, you're named after your father, but it has to be pronounced
That's
Jesus.
crazy, bro.
So, like, every first day of school growing up, it was I'd get that question, and even to this day, first introductions, I get the question.
I'm sitting in the shower when I'm coming here. I'm like thinking of taglines. I'm like, his name is Jesus. He ain't gonna save you, but he'll take you to his manger.
See, at least I'll give you that. At least some originality. You don't know the Jesus jokes that I deal with.
Jesus, let me take you to my manger.
I'll take that. Literally gonna
That's
use
the
it.
closing line. That's your closing line with any girl at the club.
Yeah, I'm taking that from you.
What are you? Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to go hit the manger?
I've said worse. I
weak.
mean,
worse.
it can only help my game. For sure.
I'm dead. But man, you're crazy. You're like this crazy character in New York City nightlife that I've never met before, because I've been working in nightlife in New York City for 6 years now. And Lebanon, obviously, you get all kinds of characters. I've worked at the Back Room, which is a speakeasy down the Lower East Side. I've worked at a tavern in Murray Hill. I've worked at Pastis. Where else have I worked? I don't know. I've worked at other joints. I'm working at obviously Chapel Bar right now.
When you came back right now.
When I came back to Levant, yeah.
Right before we met, I remember when you got hired, like the guys talking about, we got Kyle. Everybody was so excited to have you on. You know how how the directors get when they have a hire that they want.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I know this Kyle guy? And then we met shortly after. But now that I don't know, I just came to mind. But
it was crazy because I had been working there for about 4.5 years, and I never knew who you were, never saw you around. I don't even honestly know how you got in there. Because of Mishu, maybe? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because you did, before the pandemic, you were in Boom Boom Room.
Right, I was in both, yeah. So I would work at Boom Boom like during the winter and fall, and then I would work at Le Bon during the spring and summer. But before the pandemic hit, though, I barely worked. I worked 1 month that entire year, 2019.
So that might have been it, really. Because I've been a frequent there, I want to say, towards, 2017. Yeah, 2017 up until now. And, like, it's so funny. You've been in the city 6 years, working, right? And for me, kind of similar. After college, I would spend like my summers on Fire Island. I kind of I was raised in Dyckman, New York, and so the bottom half of New York was like kind of a new world to me. And I went around like college in Cortland, Fire Island in the summers. And then at 25 years of age is when I decided to like really get into New York City nightlife, or at least nightlife downtown. And Le Bon was one of the first places I go to, and it was funny enough for a Suzanne Barsh night.
Yep.
And the first night I go to that, I like cracked my head open, like my introduction to fighting some guys right around on 14th and Washington. I was with a friend who was like hooking up with one at the time. This kid named Gold was a staff member there, or you'll edit it later. A kid who was a staff member there. Anybody. Who was a staff member there, and they're hooking up on the corner. It's like 4:30 in the morning. I'm just waiting for this kid to decide are you going home with him or are we gonna find a place to eat. And then these two dudes, just like goons, approached them, like yelling out, the F words to him, faggots to him. You'll bleep that out too, not to empower it, and like are beelining towards him. And I just start fighting these two guys, like to protect them.
That's crazy.
Got knocked out cold and cracked my head open. But the guys were safe. They weren't the fighting type. Let's say they weren't the fighting kind of queens.
Right.
But then that was my first, and I knew nobody. And then like 2 weeks later, it was July 4th. I go and couldn't get in because the line was so crazy, and like I didn't have the connections I have now.
Right.
And like I'll tell you, Kyle, that was the start of me in nightlife, because I was on the line and I told myself I'm never waiting on a line like this again. Left that day. The next week is when I like went up to Harry, like made an introduction, started speaking to him, and then got cool with the rest of the staff from there on out, and truly spread my network out from the Standard.
Wow.
To where it is now.
That's fucking
Which is still
fire.
growing. It's not much, but it's something that means a lot to me.
Which is really crazy, and you can clearly see that you're on the right path for, what you want to be doing or what your life is coming to be, because you and Harry are like fucking brothers. Like, I swear to God, if you guys didn't, if I knew that you guys weren't actual brothers and somebody came up and met the two of you, it's like, these dudes are brothers. You know what I'm saying? Which is so crazy. Much, yeah. And, That's really crazy. So that was in 2017.
Yeah, I want to say 17.
2017. And since then, you've been freaking doing all this other shit. You've been, a concierge in New York City, which is really fucking something new for me to even come across in New York, which I think is really unique for this podcast and for our listeners, because I've been working in nightlife. at Lebanon and all these other great places, and I've never met a concierge. You know what I'm saying? So that's a very like niche thing that you're doing, and which is really interesting because your job essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, and you can tell me. Sorry, I don't know why this keeps stopping. You can tell me and tell everyone listening exactly what you're doing and more about what you do, but you bring people to what and you talked about this before we started. You're either bringing people to, restaurants or clubs and setting them up and working with the promoters and working with the people at the door and the managers, and you're kind of planning these people's nightlife experience in New York. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that's definitely. So I operate under the name Open Door Collaborations. It's and yes, concierge is absolutely. It's probably my favorite stream of income, my favorite service. You get to pick and choose. You meet good people, and like in nightlife, you meet guys that are out. And oftentimes, a lot of my clients start, like for example, be at Lebanon. You'll see somebody in a tight spot at the bar. Obviously, I get service a little faster than the average Joe, thanks to how great care I get from you guys. And if I see some a couple at the bar that's really been polite and waiting for you guys get so overwhelmed sometimes. And I don't help with it, when I come to the side of the bar, and I'll just say, hey, let me buy you a drink. And that's how I really meet these people, just through normal interactions. And then most of the time you're meeting somebody that's well-to-do, really good person. And then I tell them what I do. And from there on out, if I meet a guy with his girlfriend, the next week I'm setting them up at one of the restaurants in my network for a date night. Or guys hit me up specific. The concierge it's so cool because you get so many different scenarios where it could be a group of guys that want to go out and get a big dinner and then hit a club up. And like you said, what club do you want to go to? I don't know a guy in all of them. That's the ultimate goal, but I'll tell you either something similar, or I'll do my best to know somebody that knows somebody, reach somebody that knows somebody, and set up an itinerary for said person of people. Or it could be as simple as a date night where a guy has an anniversary dinner, or and wants to look like the man. And I'll call the manager at one of the restaurants that I work with and tell them, hey, look, act like you know this guy. Don't give him a bill at the end. Really, those personal little but that's what sets me apart. Because you can, that concierge, you can do that on, one of these apps. What's it called? Open Table or whatever those apps are called. Yeah. You can reserve a table. Yeah. But just that extra touch of, feeling special, that which does exist, especially in Manhattan, that elitism of feeling
for sure
like you're the man. That's kind of what I add. But besides that, event curation, I love working with artists specifically that have cool events in their head that they want to put together. They tell me what they want. I cold pitch venues and work with artists and influencers to bring some of these events to life. And yeah, that's
and how the heck did you get started in that?
So Floor Lease Event Decor. Shout out to them and Elias Panago. I worked for them while I started going out in nightlife, and they're essentially a floral decoration company. Mm-hmm. They've worked with the Rainbow Room, La Bernardin, done decorations for Polo Bar, notable venues. And I was basically a glorified assistant, which I was probably the worst assistant of all time. Besides I could write a hell of a good business email. But aside from that, I really didn't know what I was getting myself into in floral decor. But what my boy taught me, which was priceless, was, I was seeing him pay or deal with people referring events to him, and him paying a commission to them simply for referring a client for a wedding or a business party or Christmas party, whatever it was. And that's what clicked in my head. Like, hold on, you can do this? Like,
Yeah.
and that's when I was just starting to build relationships with the people that people cold pitch emails to. Like, the directors that we deal with, sometimes they never meet the people that are sending them an email to book their venue for an event. And I get to go out to lunch and dinner with these people just because we want to see each other. So that's kind of how so that's how I kind of got into that and understood how easy it was. And once again, that I have the personal, I'm within reach of these people. It's not so much a cold pitch or an email swinging for the fences. Like, I can really sit down with these people and ask for the favor to get this business done.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, aside, like we said before this, aside from that, as a fan, like, I love New York City nightlife. Like, love everything about it. It's evolved in the 5 years that I've been heavily involved. It's evolved so much.
Yeah.
The history of it, when you think about Limelight and like those Tunnel and those kind of clubs that we never got to go to, but you hear so much of, and like what impact they had on nightlife now. It's really important to me. Like, I truly take it to heart to kind of at least uphold some kind of integrity with nightlife, even as a party goer. Like, there is a certain etiquette to party.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
It's not a lot of people know. I feel like not a
That's exactly why we have this podcast, brother. I'm gonna be bringing on the bartenders. We're gonna be talking about that shit, talking about the etiquette, talking about how to fucking go out.
Well, question for you. Like, I say this, and I see it. Like, once again, I'm sometimes like a part of the problem when I like skip, go to the side of the bar and ask for my drinks, and then you have.
I don't really care though, because you did it right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like, you have some patrons when, like, what's your biggest pet peeve? Especially for me, like, I'm not the man at every bar, so I might as well know what not to do. Like, when I'm trying to get a bartender's attention, like, I feel like every bartender is different with this, but like, what's your pet peeve when you have somebody at the bar waiting for a drink and you're hustling your ass off between 100 different waiting customers?
It's all about creating a relationship. I don't care.
The right way?
I don't care. I could be slammed as fuck. I could have 5 people deep at the bar, all waiting for drinks. I might be taking up, like, for example, at Le Bon, if I'm at Well 1, which is the closest to the dance floor, you have 12 feet of bar space, you know what I mean, to take up. You could have 9 people across in front of you, right? And 2 or 3 lines of 9 people, right? You could be 3 deep, so 27 people just in front of you at that well. And if you came over, just as long as we have a good relationship, like, you don't like overstep your boundaries, you're not coming behind the bar, you're not fucking being annoying, like, you have a good relationship with us as people, you know what I mean? So, like, no matter how busy I would be, if I can help you, I'm going to help you. And I'm going to, like, I'll turn people down and tell them to wait and be like, yo, just 1 second. I got to do some stuff. I'll come right back. And I'll come try and help you out as soon as I can. You know what I'm saying? But it's all about creating a relationship with the bartender as good people, because there's people that come to the bar, like Le Bon, and think that they can just get all kinds of free drinks and do all the shit because they might know, Mishu or somebody at,
The name dropping is my, like, that's like,
name dropping is the worst.
I hate the name drop. And me, I not just there, some places and venues like this go through staff so often where sometimes I don't know the new bartender and they don't know me, and like I might be already intoxicated, and I'll introduce myself before I make any, I guess, cocky request.
Yeah,
how else to put it, for lack of better words. But it's nuts, because even me, like for as entitled as I may be, whether despite the relationships that I've built, you do have to take those personal steps with every single individual. Like,
Yes,
like
of course.
It's I hate when people forget that. I mean, like, and that's like a big thing. If we could touch on this, like, I don't bottle service, for example, is New York City nightlife thrives on it. On the even more so, I think New York City. When you think of going back to the history of it, I think Peter Gatien says, it was like hip hop that started the bottle service thing. When guys like Diddy would go to Tunnel and pay for whole bottles of champagne that wasn't like offered. They would just like want the whole thing, and that's what created the service. And like that's how it's okay. A business opportunity from the eyes of an owner. Oh, they want this. Let's up, charge them for it. They got the money for it and do it.
Yeah.
And then now it turns into what we see today, where it's that's why I love Le Bon specifically. I have nothing against the towel groups. I love spots like Little Sisters, but like most of the spots are catered to guys that just want to spend money and like stand on the couch.
Yeah.
And don't know how to speak to, don't know how to really speak to women, or
Totally.
it kind of a this hyper masculine atmosphere, which I get. I get it, totally understand the allure, but I think, for example, you like the McKittrick Hotel, which you just touched on, to go out. That's not your only option. You have well curated events with people that truly want to dance.
Of course.
With actual decor, production value. It's not just glitter and sparkles in the champagne.
Of course.
And,
yeah.
Do you go out in Brooklyn often?
Not really.
No?
No, not really. Every now
love,
and then.
I love Brooklyn Mirage, what they're doing.
I haven't even been there, and I have friends
No?
that work there.
Really?
I've had friends that have worked there since like 2018 when they opened.
We're going next summer. I think I think that they are the first to like solve the issue of how you get everybody in the same room. But the one thing that they have that you can't get to that level in New York is real estate. Like,
Of course,
that size of a venue, they built a floor plan that you can put the guys that want bottle service, that just want to be there for like Instagram purposes, to the side.
Okay.
And then you have this, big GA pit that puts everybody that truly wants to dance and soak in the music. You have that area, and then they have a whole lot of pockets for you to smoke in and talk and go to a quiet area when you need a breath of fresh air. Or, water stations, which, is very, people forget how important water is in nightlife.
Oh,
but
my God. Yeah, for sure.
But like they've figured it out, and which is cool, because in New York, what do you have in the summertime? Once everybody in Manhattan goes to the Hamptons, like, goes out east into Nantucket or whatever.
I don't know, man. I spend my time in Manhattan, during that. I think it just depends on what kind of like crowd you're in. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people, obviously tons of people go out to Long Island and the Hamptons and Montauk and shit like that. I love being in the city during summer. I fucking love it. I love eating outside. I love being on all the rooftops. All that shit.
Outside?
I mean, come on.
No, I'm not.
You're like I'm not riding with you on that one.
No, I hate it. Unless it's rooftop. Like rooftop, yes. But street, man. Like
some of them are sketchy.
Curbside is like a little rough for me, just because.
He's too fucking posh now, guys.
Nah,
he goes out to fucking Montauk and Fire Island and Long Island all the fucking time. Now you can't eat on the street.
Well,
look at this man.
I didn't go out east last summer because I was. No, you said I didn't go out east last summer because I wanted to be a part of like the resurgence of New York.
Yeah,
because we really started the end of June. When we were kind of allowed to start partying full force again, and even then for a better part of the summer we had to like sit down.
You know what's crazy? They opened up New York for gay pride.
Yeah.
That's the only reason
For Madonna.
New York City fucking opened up their doors.
It's nuts.
Gay pride. They knew it was going to happen.
Yeah,
They knew it was going to happen either
Which
way.
now the community here is.
But also nobody wanted to miss out on that money, though.
Yeah, I mean.
Because gay men spend money.
And what you just said is true. It was either, happily take their money, or they will party on by them fucking, like they would have hit the streets on their own.
Yeah.
Just put sparkles and glitter on their mask.
Yeah.
And like hit the streets. Stonewall did the fuck out. Like
yeah.
And it wasn't. But I think that that was the best way to open up. Now that I look back on it, I came back. I was gonna stay in the Dominican Republic for a couple weeks, and then Madonna got booked for
the
Boom Boom Room,
right?
and the guys told me about it. I'm like, I have to fucking be there, and it ended up being a great party. It was very sceney.
It's fucking wild.
It was like the first which like obviously we won't name drop for the sake of the future of the success of your podcast and the guests that you might have in the future. But like there were a lot of celebrities, like people that you see on TV, like liberal news people that were on TV talking about following guidelines were at Madonna's party, rubbing cheeks with the rest of us. Like, it was like the opening up of New York. You're right.
Crazy.
You're right.
Everybody wanted to be in that fucking room that night. When do you
Did you get to see what outside looked like?
No.
It was like Madison Square, bro. It looked like if people were going to Madison Square Garden
Oh my God.
to watch her play.
I can't even believe that.
Like it was madness outside.
That's
Which,
crazy.
Thankfully, the guys running the spot have dealt with everything. It got a little rough at a certain point, but like the damage control was. But you guys dealt with entitlement galore that night,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
But everybody was in good spirits though. But of course, you got all the queens there, you know what I'm saying? And everybody, and it doesn't even matter if they're queens, but like everybody in that crowd, that scene for sure, definitely have that sense of entitlement for sure. And there were so many people there that were like regulars that, come there a lot, who I've known for a long time, that came in, whom I love. Some of them will be on this show. But yeah, it was quite the experience. I'm not like a huge Madonna follower or fan. Like obviously I know Madonna. Like I know her presence.
She's an icon.
I know her presence. I know her.
Yeah.
Her as an icon and everything like that. But to be bartending and standing 10 feet away from her was cool. It wasn't like a life-changing thing for me, but for a lot of people, it was a life-changing thing.
You weren't standing 10 feet away from her. You were literally. Cause she danced.
She danced above me.
She
yeah.
danced and shaked her titties
She did.
on the bar.
Yeah. She grinded.
Probably, did a roundhouse kick over your head.
She was doing cartwheels over me. She was grinding against the wall. That was a little weird.
That was a little odd.
That was a little weird.
on the.
You're grinding against the liquor shelf right now. I don't know how to feel about it, but.
Which the highlight for my night, which he's a freak. He loves the standard is a Catronata.
Oh yeah, dude.
And he spin at.
He was spinning that night in Lebanon. Yeah.
Lebanon right after.
Oh yeah, right after. Yeah, sorry.
And then she went. She like took the crowd with her and danced her ass off.
I didn't even hear about that until I saw it on the internet. But like a couple days later, I'm like, hold on a second. She was in Lebanon dancing in there, and I was fucking cleaning my shit up. What the?
You guys had breakdown.
I'm like, why am I not in there dancing with Madonna?
I respected her for that part of the because she could have left.
That was fucking fire.
She danced her ass off, man. It was
Were you in there when it was happening?
Yeah, I was. I definitely was. I was very drunk, and you know me. I always have my pen on me, and like I forgot who was bartending for a piece of paper, and like I wrote her. I can't to this day. I can't remember what I wrote to her, but like I wrote her a note on the back of like receipt paper, and like gave it to her, and walked away.
Oh.
I was, needless to say, I was hammered.
That's a move, though.
Yeah.
What did it say? Did it say, "Come to my manger"?
No. I only know that now. I only. I just got that line.
Address.
Yeah. He just gave me
That'd have been epic.
I really don't know what I wrote, but I wrote her that.
That's fucking great, though. I mean, you're so cool. Like, you're like me. Like, you don't really get starstruck by, like, celebrities and shit, which that just means, you're putting yourself in the right place and you hold yourself to the right standard. And at the end of the day, we're people.
Yeah, man.
I love that about you.
I think, and I appreciate that, bro. It just goes to show how we take this industry seriously.
For sure.
And part of that is knowing that at any given moment you're going to see, and that's like the most interesting thing is anybody could be a person of prominence depending on who you're asking, and with the friends that I have friends who are like YouTubers and influencers and podcasters, and what you guys will deal with, like after you have one faithful listener, a viewer, you walk in the street, see said that person, and that if you can influence somebody's life in any way, it's very hard for them not to get starstruck. But in our industry, you kind of you build this resistance to it because you're catering to the evening no matter what, and you still have a whole bunch of other people that you have to serve and you have to cater to. So like that, aside from just being New Yorkers, it is necessary to conduct yourself in like as anybody else.
For sure. So that's the fucking professional thing to do anyways. But also at the end of the day, like if you put yourself in their shoes and you're like, okay, I'm famous, all these people fucking know who I am. I just want some real fucking people around me. You know what I mean? I want like a real person, especially if this person is taking care of me. Like if they are, if this person is my server, my bartender, like I just want to have a fucking good time. But the problem is with celebrities and people that are known is their ego. You know what I mean? So it depends on the celebrity for sure. You know what I mean? Because there's those celebs and that like just got that thing about them where it's like, you should treat me this way. You should, this and that. And then like they block you out, whoever the fuck you are, it doesn't even matter, which I understand as well. But sometimes that ego thing is just crazy.
The Met Gala after party took me from like the couple parties I went to. I was like in one of them, it was,
bro, I was taking shots with fucking Marlon Wayans and fucking Michael B. Jordan back in 2018 at the
those are the humble
party.
Experiences. And then you see like that's like parties like that are a little different because the entire room is, first of all, like the idea of a guest list, those are the only parties left in New York where like the guest list is the guest list, right? You're not going to get in there.
You're literally
with
not
me,
getting
I
in.
get in off the strength of my relationships, and I still have to like, it's the one time a year where like I have to wait till they say, all right, it's okay to come, which is understandable.
Right.
But then what surprised me was, and once again, you have like this year there was a young actor who like wanted to be roped off from the rest of the room. Everybody's a celebrity in that room. Everybody just came from the same event.
Literally.
And why are you asking to be roped off? Like I think that's a little condescending, and even
I don't know who it was, but I have a guess.
It's
starts with the Tim, ends with Chalamet.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll be the one to expose him.
Yeah, it was weird to me.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Somebody explained to me later on how he is like a born and raised New Yorker, so for him it's kind of like that's where the ego is born from. But still, you're in a room with your contemporaries. These are people, your colleagues. For you to want to be roped off from them just doesn't make sense to me. And like I don't know what. Like I said, anybody could be famous to somebody else. Like truly. So I don't know what awaits me in this lifetime, what my destiny looks like, but I don't care what kind of room I'm in, I don't ever want to cut myself off from the raw energy of like my fellow human on any, like that's just, to be, it's just, I don't know, man. There's something about it just doesn't sit well with me. But there could be
of course, it's because you're a true person. You're like a fucking real, raw, pure soul. You know what I mean? Like,
I try to be. It's just, you know what I mean? Like ropes, but like velvet
boom
ropes,
boom room too.
like velvet ropes, bro.
And that was the least. This year was the least. Was like the least amount of celebs that I've seen at that party.
Yeah.
And we still had a lot of people came early though. It was cool.
But it was
the one
funky.
person that I was starstruck by, which this like rarely happens to me, was fucking PJ Tucker of all people. And you talked to those motherfuckers.
Let's go, Heat.
I saw you talking to them. And
I just had to.
I was like, no.
Look, I just had to. All I told him, and I never do this. We just talked about etiquette, and like I broke the code. But I just went up to him. It was him and Rowdy Gay, and I'm a Heat fan. So, and he just signed to the Heat like a few weeks before that.
Right.
And I was just like, hey, bro, 3-D. Thank you so much for coming to it. Like, I really hope we get. I want us to get a chip. I hate the city of Miami. Love the Miami Heat with all my heart. And for me, I'll tell you this, just to go back on this. I was starstruck that night. Julia Garner. I have the first person in my life. I don't take selfies with myself. I don't take selfies if I'm dating a girl. I say no, thank you. I let my mother take one selfie a year on her birthday. And Julia, something hit me, bro. It felt like I did E. I was like, oh my God, I have such she's like such a natural beauty, and her acting, like the range with her acting is so crazy.
Yeah.
And I just had to go up to her and tell her. And like after, I regretted it because later on in the night, Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah.
Megan Rapinoe was dancing, and her and I ended up like
Rapinoe or Rapinoe? I'm not sure.
I think it's
I don't
know. I just met her that night. I didn't even know much about her till then. But like, we like danced randomly on the dance floor, and then like I got her some water, and we introduced ourselves to each other. And then she like calls Julia Garner over and tells her that, introduces me to her. And I'm like, fuck, I could have just waited. I could have just waited and had a shot. I could have just waited and had a shot at this girl. And there you go.
You came too fast.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Two pump shooter on that one.
I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold it in.
That is hilarious. You know what's really funny is when I saw it, you fucked with my head twice that night. First, it was talking to PJ Tucker and fucking Rowdy Gay, and the only reason I love PJ Tucker is, first of all, because I love his game. I love his game of basketball. Fucking love him. Secondly, he helped my Milwaukee Bucks win the championship.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? And I was crying that fucking day when they won. I was fucking crying because I've lived in Milwaukee for 7 years. I'm not a huge Bucks fan, but I've gotten to become a great Bucks fan because of Giannis, obviously, and I want them to win. They're like my hometown team. But they were so fucking bad all the years that I lived in Milwaukee.
Small market problems.
They've had nobody forever.
Yeah, small market since like Ray Allen, Michael Redd.
Yeah, Michael Redd was the guy.
Yeah.
And then we got Brandon Knight. And that was like, oh shit, we got Brandon Knight. You know what I mean? And Brandon Knight was like the best player on the team for several years. But anyways, we'll get off.
Yeah, you said PJ Tucker, and what else?
We'll get off. We'll get off the basketball rant. But you talked to PJ Tucker and Rowdy Gay, and I was tight. PJ Tucker was the only person I wanted to speak to in that entire room, that entire night. I'm like, I want to go over and just say thank you to this man, especially because of the way that he celebrated at the parade. He had a fucking huge huge Magnum bottle of champagne.
Dogs.
Just fucking pour. Yeah, my dog. These are my dogs. And when they fucking got rid of him, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing?
Well, he just chased the money.
Yeah.
Right thing. And a good team.
Yeah.
But
No,
number
for sure.
2.
But anyways, yeah, number 2 was when you went back to talk to Megan Rapinoe because I actually had a great conversation. I had a great conversation with her the entire night.
So you saw, it was.
Her and I
she's
were like,
so nice.
she's
man.
cool as fuck. She's cool as fuck.
So you know the name definitely rings a bell. I'm not a soccer fan, hence we mispronounced her last name. But what I can say about her after, and it's just the energy that I live off of. Great human being.
Great person.
It was so funny. Like it was like we danced for like 5 seconds. We both just a little wavy on the dance floor, and me, I like be by myself, and I'll just like dance around just because I want to. And then we just happened to dance for a second, and then I go up to her and I said, let me get you some water. And she said, does it look like we need water? And I'm like, well, you and I both know. I'm like, you and I both know to dance at the rate that you're going, you got to stay hydrated. And she was like, true. And it was like, and then after that, it was just such a genuine, she was very nice. It wasn't until maybe when you guys were breaking down, maybe you told me exactly who I was speaking to.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I wasn't like, fully aware.
Yeah.
Her red suit was fly too, but
yeah, she did look dope.
But yeah, I wasn't fully aware of it.
Yeah.
Great human being, man.
She's
Fun
cool.
person.
She's cool, and it's kind of funny because during that time or a little before the Met Gala, she was like really, making like headlines across, she was making headlines for saying like she's like a big activist for women to be paid the same amount of money and everything like that for the U.S. team and all this kind of shit. And there were some other things that she was talking about and like speaking up about, and I didn't agree with her on everything that she was saying and yada yada yada. So it's kind of funny that I see her. She comes to the bar. I serve her and her friend. She's being super cool. She's really like a grounded, just a real person, like zero ego.
Yeah.
Zero ego for as big as an international superstar that she is. Like she's been on the national team for fucking 16 years or something like that.
Yeah. Like
the most known besides maybe Alex Morgan. Like her and Alex Morgan are the two, known soccer players for the US. Yeah, she was just super cool. We had a really fucking funny conversation. I was literally like just going back and forth with her on jokes, and then her friend, whatever. So it's kind of funny that you and I that entire night both had those same interactions. Like you interacted with Megan, who I was having a great time. I know. I'm like, fuck, I wish I was out there right now. And he's talking to PJ Tucker. And then at the end of the night, he's talking to Megan. I'm like, oh, he's going to steal Megan from me.
No, but honestly, they like, I'm pretty sure it was funny because then everybody gravitated to Rihanna's party after that, and I was gonna go meet my friends there, and of course, like, I got emotionally blackmailed which is if
emotionally blackmailed.
Yeah, you know me. I don't think. And you've worked in many establishments and many places. Have you ever seen somebody who isn't staff stay post shift like while you guys break down as much as I do?
No.
Like I'm like I don't know what it is, bro. I'm like really.
No.
I like love staying there with you guys.
You do. At first, I'm like,
and I'll say this for everybody
guy?
who doesn't know, the job doesn't stop for these people. Tip your bartenders because it does not stop. Like doors shut at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm there with these guys till 6 a.m. as they figure out all their tips, clean the bar, clean the messes we make. Yeah. So like for that.
Yeah.
But like I was just staying there and I still ask you guys to serve me while you're working.
We're closing the bar. It's like, yo, go.
Can I go one more?
Little bullet. Sure. I don't give a fuck.
But yeah, I stood there. It was such a fun night already where I'm like, man, I had like my shit. And then I still ended up at somebody's condo's after party with like 7 a.m. Everybody was waiting for that Met Gala. I feel that was, and the 3 parties that were on, it was Rihanna's, LeBain's, and I think Justin Bieber's. Those are the 3 parties. I think it was Justin Bieber. And they were like, you could watch out the window from the Standard and see Rihanna's party. And then, you could see the crowd, like people trying to get in.
Was it at Up and Down again?
I'm not sure. I don't think it was Up and Down. I think it was a venue. No. If anything, it was Oak, not Up and Down.
Yeah, I mean, Up and Down hasn't been open, but I mean,
But it wasn't. I forgot the venue. But either way, it was
whatever.
One of those magical New York City nights.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That week was odd with the Lacoste party was crazy.
Oh my
That was the crazy
Lord.
party of that fashion week.
That was the
Fights,
craziest shit I've ever.
My friends was the rumble in the elevator. I was there for that little rumble in the elevator.
Blake Griffin was there, like helping hold people back at the
Blake
door.
Griffin separated.
Motherfuckers were fighting everywhere. Dude got hit over the head with a Grey Goose bottle. And the crazy part about that was that that was Anita's boyfriend. Anita is this gigantic Latin superstar. I believe she's from Brazil. And I was actually talking to her hairstylist. And we were having a great conversation, hanging out all night. And then that party got fucking crazy. And that's when he got hit over the head with a fucking bottle. The DJs are just blowing out the fucking speakers. There's 3,000 people. I thought people were going to come behind the bar and start stealing shit. I was going to close down the bar because I didn't feel safe. Bro, I was literally going to close down the bar, make that my call. I was like, I went around to the bartenders. I'm like, yo, we got to shut this shit down because this shit's fucking crazy right now.
And it was nuts because after it, so I didn't see any of that. What I saw was the aftermath when it was still going down in the elevator, which Blake Griffin was 100%. Damn, I feel like
put him on trial.
No. I feel like we're like. This is our resume for TMZ, but
yeah.
But no, Blake. I'll give him all the. I'll give him his roses. He really was adamant on diffusing the situation.
Yeah,
putting his body. You're a professional fucking athlete. You shouldn't be putting your body in the way of these things. And but he's the only person big enough and strong enough there to separate the kids that were trying to get in the elevator, which these guys were trying to go at it. I guess he just knew people in both parties, so he was able to be that divide.
Mm-hmm.
And I was helping him out in the elevator because Harry was stopping another fight on. You bleeped that out. Harry was stopping another fight at the door between Boom and
Laban, yeah.
And
because one of our security guards was getting fucked up.
It was just drunk dudes. It was, and then even in Boom later on in the night, thank goodness I wasn't there. One thing that a friend of mine, another influencer, this is a whole section of influencers, got her phone snatched out of her hand by another influencer, once again egos, who thinks he's hot shit.
Of course.
And because he thought she was recording him when she was just recording the vicinity. And I see something like that, I'm gonna react, and then I'm the wrong person in that venue to see something like that, because I'm gonna get away with what people know I don't react like that if it isn't justified. Something was in the air that night.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was absolutely crazy. And just, I want to make this clear for everyone that's listening. This is the Fashion Week 2021 party for Lacoste. They definitely did not plan this shit.
It was one of the Fashion
It was
Week
Lacoste.
parties.
It was Lacoste, 1,000%. I don't think they knew what the fuck was going to... obviously they didn't know what the fuck was going to happen, but the weird part is that I didn't see anybody from Lacoste even there the entire night, which is just confusing to me. I'm like, what's going on here? I haven't seen one person that works for Lacoste. If they did, they were here the first fucking hour, not when literally the Boom Boom Room was full, jam-packed with 500 people. There's police outside. Fucking people are literally trying to bulldoze.
That might be it though. After a certain point, and I'll say this from the events that I curate. After a certain point, that's what the venue is hired for. You know, if like they were in charge of security, they don't have the walkies to security, and so maybe after like the first, issue, they went outside, diffused that, and that like consumed like whatever their manpower was. Because how many people are you really gonna have working for your fashion week party after like your event planner and like your staff? That like everybody's drinking and like involved in the party. Nobody's really gonna be actively engaged. That's what the venue is for. I feel. To play devil's advocate here.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, they were literally just throwing a party, which I understand. But
it was out of control. And I remember at one point that night.
How did it get so fucking ratchet? Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, keep on. You remember at one point at that night what?
I say Finito, Chief Keef. I swear, this has to stay on. When you do this has to stay on. One thing I do remember, the only way to embrace a ratchet situation in New York City at a party is to play Finito by Chief Keef or Computers by Rowdy Rebel. No, listen, I'm so serious. The only way to contain a ratchet vibe, which is ratchet can be good. Once it gets to that level, you play Finito by Chief Keef or Computers by Rowdy Rebel. I assure you, everybody's hitting the dance floor, and it's gonna be kind of a moshy feel. But the thing about mosh pits is that they really are it's soaked in love. Like everybody's bumping and pushing each other, but the music is truly controlling the tempo of that energy. Completely. And I remember after all that happened, for you to ask that, I swear to you, and this was like the beautiful thing that came out of all that aggression, was at one point the DJ played Computers by Rowdy Rebel, and then everybody hit the dance floor and like we really moshed. I have like videos of that where my shirt came off, and then and then what's the Baby Keem and Kendrick song?
Oh hell yeah!
When that Family Ties came on, that was like a week old at the time.
Oh yeah.
And then everybody after that, then the room kind of ASAP Nast hit the DJ, was standing on the DJ booth. It was.
Oh, that was an ASAP dude that was standing on the booth?
Yeah, the lanky dude that was on. Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure that was ASAP Nast.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I saw that dude. I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, he's ASAP.
I'm like, this shit's about to get crazy.
Nah, man, but that's what I'm telling you.
Standing on the fucking DJ booth. I'm like, oh my god.
I love you.
I've never
I love
seen
you.
anybody do that ever in that place.
It's true to get away with it. And when you say it, like it 100% got ratchet. But that's, I think, when we talk about New York, and that's like one of those things that if you ever are in a room that's hitting that, like those ratchet feels, the way to control it truly always falls down to music.
Just get the people to dance.
And it's crazy. I'll never forget. I was involved in helping diffuse almost all those situations in some way or another. And then after everything is like, they put those songs on and everything got fixed. And I remember even after that, I was like, remember you ran out of cups?
Yeah.
And like I ran out of cups. And I was like, people were scared.
We literally ran out of glassware to even serve people drinks. And that this man runs up to the bar. And that's when I started to get nervous because I'm like, bro, I have like 40 people in front of me that want to drink. I don't even have glassware to give them water.
This is where entitlement comes to my advantage.
Where motherfucking Jesus steps in like an angel, like a man from heaven. He comes in, he goes, what do you need? Because you also wanted a drink too.
I did.
You're like, bro, I'll go
by any
get you
means necessary
plastic cups so you can start serving me. I'm like, I don't know, man. Find the fucking bar back. I haven't seen him in hours. I don't know what the fuck is happening. I feel like I'm about to get jumped. You go and get fucking. You come out of nowhere with sleeves of plastic cups.
One of our barbacks, yeah. And
this is in the middle of like the craziest fucking party I've ever bartended in my life. Oh my god!
But I mean, that's a lot of.
And you made it. You saved the day. You literally saved that party, dog.
I at least got got you
Dead
to
ass.
serve me my drink.
Dead ass for real.
At least got my drink. Now let me ask you this. Let's go because we've been in like
Ramble mode a little bit.
Now and like the whole night has generally been Le Bon. But what other spots do you love in New York? I mean, outside of our places. But yeah, like where do you?
You know, I'm a guy that kind of goes around everywhere, and I have those connections as well with all the bartenders that I know and everybody that works in nightlife. I think in terms of clubs, the Box, by far. Love the Box.
I love how weird it gets in there.
Love the Box.
I love how weird.
If you are not from New York City, or if you're even going to be visiting New York City and you're cool enough, or you want to spend enough money to get into the Box, your life will never be the same.
Is the big guy still there? And I don't want to give away one of their main attractions, but it's like the big nothing guy still there, right?
The guy that's in the teddy bear suit?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still there, but
I haven't been post-COVID.
you know, I heard it's fake too, by the way.
Yeah?
From somebody that
knows
them.
I imagine I never like the pumps or whatever.
I don't know. That shit is ridiculous. Everyone will have to see that for themselves.
Special attraction.
But it's a very odd thing,
it
but it's amazing. But yeah, the Box is probably my favorite club. If I didn't, I mean, Le Bon is one of my favorite clubs by far.
Mm-hmm. Best view in nightlife, best vibes in nightlife.
For sure, 1,000%. Other than that, I kind of like bounce around and go to little, like cocktail bars and shit. There's just so many fucking good places in New York. It just doesn't stop. And it depends on who you're with when you go there, because it just like that makes the place 1,000 times better. Like either who you know or like what company you have around you. Like, I like Employees Only a lot. That's one of my favorite like go-to cocktail bars. But then, like, I'm not even a fan of Beauty Bar, and Beauty Bar I just go to a lot because I know everyone there because my friends DJ there, and, like, it's just a fun fucking time, and it's a kooky, weird place. Like, a lot of rock and roll, old school rock and rollers go there, and that's, like, their hangout. I don't know, though.
Really?
Like, I've just been fucking bouncing around a lot the last,
Have you done short
year.
stories?
No. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what short stories is like, but I never go to places that are like bottle pushers or like sceney types of shit. I know, I'm not saying it is. I don't know what it is.
It's like a 95, like not even 100-person capacity spot. Funny enough, the first time I was there was for an event for a photographer friend of mine, influencer photographer friend of mine, Malik Sadibe. He was going off to Paris, and I cold pitched them, and they were very great about sponsoring this event for this kid. And we threw a great little like private guest list party to send him off to Paris for like his first. Like he sells, making an exhibit of his photography. So when they celebrated that, that's how I got introduced. With that said, what I love about short stories of being like such a small venue, they do a great job of like turning around and making each night different, like catering to a different kind of people, which is like the one thing. Before we started this, I told you it's very important that people recognize how vast. Well, you know how vast New York is, but like the options that you have in regards to nightlife, in regards to party, are endless.
Crazy,
from one
literally
block
endless.
to another. And so I respect
fucking endless for real.
So I respect any venue. Like the thing about most venues is like they kind of take an image and run with it. You know, the theme and run, like that's what you are.
Right.
So I like spots that can change up and cater to different people every single day.
Yeah.
And still maintain a good flow of patrons
Right.
and guests.
That's kind of like House of Yes.
yeah.
House of Yes used to be one of my favorite clubs. Now it's just kind of too well known, and just I think it's like kind of cheesy now. But they have different every night. They do different themes, different theme parties. The venue doesn't change as much, but they will change up what kind of acrobats they have or the decor on the walls. Obviously, the DJs. But I think House of Yes is fucking sick. And actually, I just had another thought that came to my mind.
Talk to me.
One of my favorite clubs now in New York City is the Q.
I haven't been.
Fucking unreal.
Where's that?
Fucking unreal. It's a gay club.
Okay.
It's in Hell's Kitchen. I think it's on like 53rd or 40 something in like 8th or 9th Avenue. I went there on Christmas Day. Unreal. It's like 3 or 4 stories. There's like 5 different rooms. So each room has like a different DJ. Each room is a little bit different. They have like one big dance floor area. They have like the main little bar on like right when you walk in that has a DJ. You go up the stairs. There's like a cool little like kind of small speakeasy kind of feel room with a DJ. And then like the big room. Fucking great. Because that's what I care about. I don't care about who's around me, but the vibes are great. The vibes are great.
Although
They're like
I
great
say
people.
nobody parties like the Pride community. Like nobody parties like the Pride community, and they uphold. When you think about it, especially when we talk about and I spoke about this before, and it's a recurring. It shapes my ideology, and people don't realize it. Almost every spot you go to now was inspired by the Pride community of New York. Like they're the ones who pushed the bar in New York party-wise for us to get away with the crazy parties that are getting thrown now. Like that was at the end of the day. So I'll go to the Q just for the sake of seeing this. But like 5
Completely, yeah.
and like you don't have many venues left like that in Manhattan that are 5
Like
different
that,
rooms.
No, hell no. There's like nothing like that in maybe I don't even know. Like that was the first place to me that felt like Berlin, where you can go to a club and you can be in a club for fucking 15 hours or 2 days, however long you want to spend in there, because they don't close. And they have like 10 different rooms that you can go to where there's a different DJ in every single room, and every single room is different. And it's just a whole fucking experience. Like you never want to leave. Q was like the closest thing recently that I've felt.
I'm jealous,
like
man.
that.
I haven't. I got to go to Berlin this summer for the first time, but it was they were still dealing with COVID restrictions. But I got to go to one cool bar. I just love the energy. You can tell that when it's free, when they're free to
You can do anything.
I say Berlin gave me the vibes of what I imagine like the late 80s, like the Basquiat, East Village, Warhol, late 80s
100%.
vibes. That's what Berlin gives me. Super artistic, hyper liberal, very progressive and good, like grungy, but great times.
Yeah.
Like I went to Hamburg this. I also went to Hamburg this November, bro, and the grunge in there was. And I just, once again, you love that 5, like you're saying, 5 rooms, 5 different DJs. Everybody's accepted.
100%.
You're making friends, like sharing substances, and like not just that. It's a responsibility you indulge in whatever you indulge in, where everybody's hydrating each other and looking out. Like you don't really see anything bad happen to anybody because strangers are looking out for strangers just as much as you're looking out for the friends you came with.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing. Like that's the partying I live for.
Yes, of course. Same here, dog. Same here. That's why I love Berlin, and that's why I want to create something like that here,
What do you see when you say create? Do you mean like opening your own spot, throwing parties at venues? What's your vision? Because I have something similar, but let's hear your vision.
Possibly
first.
both. Possibly both.
I mean, but you can take one to the
I've definitely wanted to like have my own spot for sure. I think starting a party and curating it is kind of the first step, and finding the right venue. But you know, I feel like I'm gonna just make a fucking crap load of money and just open some shit up and just have that shit be legendary, because I'm sick of just these boring ass, normal ass clubs. Like,
that's why you got to go to Brooklyn more. We both do. I'm like adamant on Brooklyn probably has places that we are overlooking because of our loyalty to Manhattan.
House of Yes has it a little bit. Like, House
Yeah.
of Yes, you can go to the main dance floor, then there's the main bar, and then they have like their outdoor area, and they actually have another little like tiny little room that's just like black. Like, and you feel like you're in like a little black box, and they have a different DJ in there sometimes. So House of Yes is like kind of that joint for me. You know what I think closely matched a Berlin club feel is underneath. There's a venue out in Queens.
Knockdown Center?
Knockdown Center. Underneath the Knockdown Center, there's a club down there.
Yeah.
That shit's fire.
Yeah.
You are literally like, you feel like you're in a cave.
It gives me like Webster Hall. Did you ever get to see Webster Hall before the renovation?
Yes.
The renovation?
Yeah.
So like that. Well, you know, when we talk about New York and Webster Hall was a rite of passage. If you talk Berlin-esque things, that, you know, like everybody talks about Berlin, like two party people that care about the culture and like, you know, talk Berlin. But like Webster Hall, that was where, not to promote such things, but that was a rite of passage for checking if your fake ID would, you know, build confidence with your fake ID to check it. That's where you like got swindled for Molly or weed or whatever by a dealer inside the club. That's where you went, you know, that's where you went to learn how to drink with friends and realize who your real friends were, because some groups will leave their friends behind, some groups will stick together. Like the things you would see at Webster Hall, and they had those the underground club and those 5 different rooms in a very grungy, like
Cool.
super.
It
was a melting pot. It was a melting pot, and like, when we talk about, I don't know if it'll ever be possible in Manhattan to recreate that. I don't, and you don't, you know, certain aspects you don't want to recreate. Obviously, you don't want anybody underage in there. You want to be as responsible as possible and as mature as possible.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know if you want to recreate that, but I would love to see someday, like Meatpacking isn't what I was raised or I expected it to be the first time that I went to Meatpacking. With that said, you still have good venues like Common Ground. I give them all the credit in the world.
Right.
They cater to specific people, and I'm very close with the people that, like, shout out Lauren and Brandon Cologne and Chris Rita, who do a great job of maintaining like a fresh environment for the people that, and like I think it's so cool that you have like a place like Common Ground, a place like LeBain, and then you have you had like a One Note. You got Tao around the corner. You have 3 different spots within walking distance that show you 3 completely different set of people.
Yeah.
What venue in Manhattan will challenge us to bring everybody under the same roof again?
Yeah.
You know?
1000%.
Like that's kind of where, like, are we the ones to open it, or do we?
Of course,
Do we wait for somebody else to do it?
I think we are the ones to open that. For real.
Right?
And can we talk, like, since we're going down that route a little bit, let's talk about like the difference you have seen and that you know and you've experienced between that uptown shit and downtown, because you're from Dyckman, and whoever like is listening that doesn't know about Dyckman's up in like the 200 200th Street.
Is 200th Street, and it's technically an uncharted neighborhood because it doesn't show up on a map as anything more than a street. And you hear, like, I'm from Dyckman. My neighborhood is Dyckman. I grew up on Elwood Street, but I'm from Dyckman. Anybody that's from Dyckman will say Dyckman, but it's technically considered Inwood, Washington Heights, depending on what side you're from. With that said, it's crazy. Dyckman basketball tournament in the summer is a hub, attracts some of the biggest stars, mostly hip hop. Once again, when we're talking markets, like, it attracts the biggest stars in hip hop. You hear it in, like, your favorite rap songs, and, like, a lot of people, like, hear their favorite rap songs, they hear the word Dyckman and might not know that this is, like, really a place you can go to. But the biggest difference I see between, like, the clubs in Uptown and downtown, which I'm guilty being raised, and I frequent, and my business takes me more downtown and I don't spend enough time uptown. But shout out GDA and Evander, a lot of the guys that I know who are staples to that scene. I hope I'm not getting it wrong. It's the Latin music, the Bad Bunnies, the Anuels, the genres we're talking about. You go out there, you have to be ready to dance salsa, bachata, reggae, reggaeton. That's the music you're gonna encounter there. And then on top of that, hookah smoking is, like, you have to have. If you don't have hookah in your club uptown, it's very likely you're not gonna succeed. Which I don't know how hard that license is to get nowadays. But
That's crazy.
yeah, it's like hookahs, and then in the summertime you have the basketball tournament, like, that brings this big crowd there, and then it disperses into these clubs. And again, I think that's a matter of fact. Let's make it my resolution right now for 2022 to go back to my hood and start showing love there. Now that I've done so well for myself down here, like, I really do need to go back to my roots. But it's crazy because growing up, the house parties down there, which is so similar to what's going on, the house parties aren't that different to what a club looks like up there. I'm not, like, nothing's that crazy to me down here. Like, that's why I'm able to deal with those chaotic, ratchet situations. Because to me, that's just a recipe for a good time if you treat it correctly.
Right.
So I think that's the what to expect with the vibe uptown. We'll go when it gets a little warmer. You said you want to go up there, so I guess you and me will go up.
Yeah, the only joints that I've known up there is, like, La Marina.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Yeah, man.
Otherwise, I don't really know nothing up there, man. But, like, obviously La Marina was, like, gigantic for 2 years, 3 years.
People, like, really pulled up in boats, and it's a shame. Not to get into it, but, it's a shame how the city played a part in its demise and didn't do it. I don't believe they did it for the betterment of the neighborhood. I think that it definitely, for all the things, when you think about a Times Square, because, like, the issue, like, traffic was an issue, the traffic it created was an issue. But when you think about a place like Times Square, if you can deal with traffic and, like, experiment so much to, like, get that heavy flow of traffic down there fixed, you could have figured it out for a neighborhood that needs that kind of revenue that venue is bringing. But yeah, R.I.P. to La Marina. Without La Marina, probably Dyckman wouldn't be where it is today, because it is, once again, a true money maker. It is a hub for the greater New York, for Metro New York. People from Connecticut, any of the surrounding states, New Jersey, any of the surrounding states, especially in minority culture, when you think about Black and Latino culture,
Mm-hmm.
truly come there to celebrate good times and
Yeah.
spend more money than they have to have those good times. But it's fucking worth it. I do say stay safe. There are, unfortunately, there are a few bad eggs and things that happen. But it's a matter of being around the right people and sometimes it's just the wrong place at the wrong time. So like for the bad rep that comes along with Dyckman, it's just being as safe as you could possibly. But it is a great place to party. It is the most amazing vibes. You meet the most amazing people.
I kind of want to hit on one more thing or two more things here before we lose our natural, beautiful light. You have experienced, and you said you used to go out to Fire Island and everything like that. And, I know I haven't been out to Fire Island. Andre Balazs, who used to own the Standard, had his own, like his second coming, like a little like sister bar out in Fire Island and everything like that. How did you get into that scene? And I don't know if like you were a part of like a big LGBTQ like crowd or anything like that, but I know Fire Island is heavily like all like a lot of gay guys go out there, like the LGBTQ community goes out there a bunch. So kind of how did that kind of, because it's like it sounds from what you were talking about earlier, you kind of got started like from that kind of area.
Yeah, so I say in this man, I went out there from Cortland because a friend of mine got a summer job bartending out there at a place called Hurricane, which doesn't exist anymore, but Hurricane Bar. He invited me out like at any point that I wanted to come out and crash with him in the summer. And I took him up like a couple weeks after the semester ended. He just graduated. And it was like surreal to me. I had never even heard of Fire Island, and I was born and raised in New York. And I go out there and, it's truly like this little solidified land. At the time, this is before Snapchat, Instagram, all these things are like given away. Like everybody, it was still a well-kept secret to a greater extent at the time that I got introduced to it. So anyway, to answer your question, I got there and I knew that was a place, like it's still my dream now to own a home there. But I didn't initially go to the Pines, which is where the LGBTQ community throws the best parties in the world, in my opinion. But before we get there, I go to Ocean Bay Park, Ocean Beach when I'm in Fire Island.
Okay.
And that caters more to like day trippers from like South Shore, Long Island. It's the people that live there is kind of heavily Jewish community, a very strong Jewish community who would embrace me so beautifully, and I love so many people out there for doing so, and it's very fun, wholesome, the kind of place that you can like rage into like 4 a.m. and then take it to your party house, which is a problem for people that live there. But the Pines, going into that, after a couple of years, I'd spend my summers there, save up. I was working construction at the time. And the places that I go to, Ocean Bay Park, Ocean Beach, the most you'd have is like families waiting for like their friends or like family members coming off the boat to greet them and walk them over to the house. There's no cars on Fire Island at all. So like you kind of have to like meet these people at the boat and walk or bike, like bicycle. Like so there's no cars there.
God damn, I didn't know that.
Pines is different. You go up and like you just see everybody basically nearly naked, like you hear the music coming onto the wall. Like as soon as you step off on any given Saturday, Sunday, like you're walking into the party, and like it's incredible. And for me, it's probably one of the most important things that happened. Experiences that I've had in partying there, just because coming from what I come from, you didn't, it's kind of where I come from. There is a homophobia that you're raised on, the hyper masculinity
Yeah.
we touched on earlier. So for me to go there with an open mind, and it was the most confidence building thing as a man that I could have. And I know that you deal with this. We deal with this all the time. The most confidence building thing in nightlife is going to a pride party, you know, and having a man tell me how beautiful I am, and, you know, rub his hand on my chest, and me saying, you know, politely, thank you. Wrong tree, you dog, but thank you very much. But you know that it's like the summer culture there for that community is insane. Best parties, best house parties you're ever gonna get to. It's absolutely liberal. It shows you the beauty of, like, you know, when you talk about body image, when you talk about loving yourself, accepting others and loving others for just what they are and who they are.
Oh yeah, completely.
Even down to like important topics, as like when I just told you that, as far as consent, you like learn a shit ton through this community on Fire Island, and I'm thankful so much for like what that gave me. You know, even way before LeBron, before I ever you know knew what a Suzanne Bar's party was, I kind of got a crash course there. And like, I think once you're able to deal with that as a straight man, whatever you come from, if you go there with an open mind, you really learn that how important it is to have love at the core of any party.
Yeah.
Like that's what I have to say about the Pines, like that, the gay community on Fire Island. It's one of one in the world. Like, best party community you'll ever go to.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
another place
man.
for us to go to next year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
bro.
for sure. I gotta get out there 100%. 100%.
You're gonna reject a lot of men, I assure you, Kyle.
Yeah. I've done that many times. I've done that many a time. I want to talk about this pen, bro. You got this pen on you at all times. When you whipped that shit out of your pocket earlier, I started laughing to myself. He said, you know, I always got my pen on me. I'm like, no, I didn't know that, but now I do.
No, you know, I'll say this for the camera. This is not the pen I usually have on me. This is my third option. And like I forgot, I usually have a Micron fine point 0.01 millimeter pen on me.
Okay.
That's what my preference is.
Yep.
To write with. But it's very important to this conversation, actually, and I'm very thankful you asked this before we close.
Yeah.
Drunk or not, whenever we're out, what you will see me with, and I have my notepad in my bag, is I always take, like, somebody will say something around me that I don't want to forget the next day. And I kind of never really know how drunk I'm going to get after my first drink.
Mm.
So just in case, you know, I like, you hear something and it's memory is one thing, but you remember things kind of however you want to. So just writing it down just to know that I got it word for word the way that I want to, or like I see something that I don't want to forget and I want to elaborate on in my journal or write about later on, I'll just put it down in my no. But also it helps, like I don't write with ballpoint, so like at restaurants I take my pen out and like I'll sign for a check with my pen. This is weird as it sounds, it's true.
I don't write with ballpoint, you know.
Everyone
sign him a check.
Everyone, boy or girl that's ever gone on a date with me knows that this is true. I take this out.
This is hilarious.
But yeah, it's very important to me.
Wallet, phone, keys, pen.
Yeah, no wallet actually. For me, it's cash, cards, and a rubber band.
Cash cards and a rubber band.
I don't like wallets. It's just too formal for me, man. I like speed. Let's get it over quickly. But yeah, this the purpose of the pen has everything to do with nightlife because it allows me to record. I could use my phone, but some things in life I think are important for you to do it in a way that are true to you, and like it's so classic and a dying thing for me that I'd rather do it that way. and
Completely.
it means the world to me. I definitely have written about you a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
Made my note. I probably without a doubt.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Completely. There's a big difference between fucking writing something in your phone and really actually writing something with a pen or a marker or something, because that's when it's truly coming out of you. You're seeing yourself do that and write that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
And imagine it reading it, not to cut you off, imagine it reading it the next day. And for me, that I like to say that I have very specific penmanship. You know, I'm not the prettiest, but like I have a specific, pretty enough when I'm shit-faced and I'm just like chicken scratching these things. And it's crazy because like it turns like only legible to my eyes. Like anybody else, I'm like, oh, I'm safe. Like I know exactly how fucked up it is that I wrote this, but only I can read it because I was that fucked up when I wrote it.
Oh my god.
So yeah, it's to answer
That's
that.
hilarious. That's crazy. I mean, I love writing because that shit really helps you remember stuff. I mean, especially for an actor, they say, you know, the best way to memorize your lines is to not only say it out loud, but to write it out. I used to write out, I have like a notebook full of just
Your lines?
lines that I've tried to memorize for, you know, whether it be a play or a short film or whatever kind of film I'm in, or any audition. Writing it down always. And I've gotten away from it. I've gotten away from writing a lot of shit lately, but I actually picked up my pen probably last week or maybe even like 4 or 5 days ago to start writing some more things, just get some thoughts out. It's completely different when it comes from your hand rather than just typing it on your phone or
It's so
in
much
any
more
other
personal.
kind of electronic. Yeah, way more personal. You remember those feelings, you know what I mean?
Siri doesn't suggest anything to you after you do it. You know, like it's only you and that paper.
Yeah.
But man, I 100% stand by our use of the pen and not letting it die.
Good.
You know, giving ink a market.
You're giving ink a market.
Yeah, you know.
This man's about markets.
This is very new to me, but also you made it very comfortable. And as always, it felt like we were closing, like we were breaking down
Yeah.
and having a chat, you know, at the bar. But
Yeah.
I wish you the best of luck, brother. And this is like, you have a good setup and such a good energy for people to vibe off of and talk about great things and our experiences and the crazy stuff that we see on a nightly basis. Not daily, nightly.
Nightly.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, nightly basis for sure. Oh, that's good. That's good that you just said that. I've never thought about that. Nightly basis. Not the daily basis, the nightly basis.
Oh, brother.
For sure. Cheers, bro. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, for real.
Love your presence as always. Cheers to many more. Let's start fucking writing down some more ideas and make that shit a reality, huh?
They're endless, baby. We'll bring them to fruition one way or another.
Exactly. That's cool. Let's do it. Let's cheers one last time, even though I don't have anything in this cup, but it looks like I do. I'm still going to act it out.
Yeah.
I think I've had one too many.
No such thing. No such thing.
Cheers, bro.